Everybody, make sure you put your kids to bed because today's episode of Tales from the Treehouse is going to be rated X for 10 because it's our 10th one and because I will be fully nude by the time we finish the podcast. So there is that. Welcome to Tales from the Treehouse. I'm Andrew Fantasia.
I'm Amanda. You don't get to hear my last name this time.
No,
It's been a long day.
If y'all missed it before, you're not getting it now. We'll leave a series of clues. Like every 14th sentence, we'll start it with one letter from your last name, and then they'll have to unscramble it and find out.
I'll definitely remember that code for sure. It'll be a little riddle. Kill surprise for everyone.
Speaking of riddles, really quickly, I started playing this new video game that has become my new obsession, and I haven't had time to sink too much of my teeth into it, but I think you would like this game, Amanda, if you are a riddle fan, if you're like a puzzle fan. If not,
I am actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because this is it's like a Rubik's Cube wrapped in another Rubik's Cube wrapped in a logic puzzle. It's crazy. It's called Blueprints. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
So the gist of the game is your great uncle dies and he has bequeathed you his mansion. And he tells you in order to get your inheritance, all you have to do is come to the mansion and you have to find the secret hidden room at the back of the mansion. And if you get into that room, you get your inheritance. But your path is blocked by a series of doors. And every time you open a door, you get a choice between one of three different rooms you can put in there. And what always ends up happening is if you don't strategize right, you trap yourself in a dead end and you can't get to the back of the house. And you have to start a new day. And every day the house refreshes. And you can't carry over anything that you collected. So you're always kind of starting from scratch. And it's so fun. But at the same time, like every puzzle has like 14 steps. And it hurts your brain. Like I found one room and I'm like, I figured out this room. I know what I need to do. But in order to do something in that room, I need to get another room and like turn a bunch of switches in that room in the right order. But like the rooms are random. So if you don't get it, you're screwed. So it's great because it's like a combination of like, this game was meant for me. I'm having so much fun. And also like, fuck this game.
Love and hate. There's a thin line. All right. No, I have to look that up.
Yeah, Blueprints. Very, very fun.
Is it a PC game or
I think you can play it on PC. I've been playing it on PS5, but I'm like 99% sure you can play it on PC because it's literally like you're pointing and clicking and stuff. So,
all right, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up on other games. Anyway, yeah, good to know. I love stuff like that. Riddles, really. I love trivia. I'm into all that kind of stuff. Board games, yeah. And I grew up playing all the like old, like original, obviously like Nintendo, but like PS1, all the Resident Evil, like those games are like mystery game. Like, oh, I love all those stuff. All those old games, like used to play them like crazy. And I used to work at Best Buy. I was the extreme gamer for a time. Yeah, because I played all the games, and we had both like consoles. So I used to consult on, which games people should get. Yeah, and sold lots of Xbox 360s and PS3s because that was back. It was back in the day. Now aging us. I'm aging us quite a bit, but yeah, good times.
It's funny. Around that same time, I was working at Best Buy too, but I was in the warehouse where they brought the deficient products, and that was when like everybody was returning an Xbox 360. So
yeah, they were all melting. Yeah. Well, yeah. I would push. Hey, get the service plan because they melt. And I literally had like a photo of a melted Xbox on like clipboard, and people were like, okay, they would buy it. My manager loved it. They're like, you're selling so many service plans. They would just give me cash money every day. Like, there's $50. Go buy lunch. She'd be like, sweet.
I hope your dates are. Yeah, that's right. There was no commission at Best Buy.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm glad they still recognized you. Did you have a name tag that said Extreme Gamer on it?
No, I didn't. I just had your name and it had your department. I think I still have it somewhere, the yellow name tag. But my name tag did have a penguin sticker on it. Yeah, did. Yeah.
Oh, so that's cool. I have one very fun anecdote from working at the Best Buy thing, and then we'll jump into Simpsons because this does have to do with an animated series. So, have you heard of VeggieTales?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what it's about?
Yeah, some of them are Christian, right? And they're like musical reenactments of, different stories, right?
Yeah.
But they're all portrayed by vegetables, anthropomorphized vegetables.
Exactly. It's literally a show Ned Flanders would show his kids.
Yeah.
And I knew that VeggieTales existed, but I didn't know it was that kind of show. Because that's just, that's such an oddity.
Yeah.
And so I was working in the returns depot, and there was a shelf that was near my workstation, and they would put little TVs on that shelf, and every once in a while, they're testing the products to see what's defective, whatever. So they would have those TVs running, and they would just have like cheap DVDs, and they would put one in and see what was going on. And whoever was testing this particular TV that was like 10 feet away from me, put in a VeggieTales DVD. And again, it's on my periphery. I see that there's this cartoon playing. I've heard of this cartoon, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know it's Christian, whatever. And I'm just sitting there doing my work, and there's like this talking tomato, and I just hear somebody say like, nobody knows what's going to happen next, all except for God, and God has a plan for us. And I'm like, what the hell did I just hear this tomato say?
Is it clear?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, am I having a stroke? What's happening right now?
Then they get into like Book of Revelation, scary apocalypse stuff. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
If you don't know what's coming, that can really throw you for a loop.
Yeah, what did I just put on for my child?
Try that as a party trick for your friends, everybody. Just throw on VeggieTales with no context.
Yeah, just throw it on. See how it lands.
But speaking of Ned Flanders, he got into some trouble under the wheels of the Simpson Mobile today, because we're talking about Treehouse of Horror episode 10, or Treehouse of Horror 10, rather. They don't use the word episode. And this was a special one for me, Amanda. This aired October 31st, Halloween night, 1999, the final Treehouse of the new millennium. And this is going to sound real lame compared to how we started this podcast with your story from episode 1. But this was the first Treehouse that I ever watched live.
Wow. Okay. All right.
All the way up to number 10. I remember clearly my cousins, they took me trick-or-treating. There was like a couple years where I always just went with them. And this year they came over to my house and they took me trick-or-treating. And the plan was, my mom was like, okay, you guys go trick-or-treating like in our neighborhood, and then come back in like an hour and a half, and I'll make pizzas for everybody. You guys can eat dinner, and then you can go back out and go to another neighborhood. So we trick-or-treated for a bit. We came back to the house. My mom made us pizzas. And as we ate the pizzas, we sat and we watched this episode together. And then we went back out. So not a bad way to spend your Halloween.
Yeah, it sounds like an epic 1990s, almost millennial, 2000s Halloween. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's good. It's cool that you have that memory too, like specifically that year. And not that The Simpsons does it often. Like, I mean, older episodes, it's been on for 30 plus years now. So it's, it has seasons where it's aged. Like the stories hold up, but it's aged itself. But that episode specifically, like you mentioned, it references that it's 1999, and one of the sketches is related to that in this episode. So yeah, no, that's great. First live episode of The Simpsons. Amazing. Yeah. And it was Halloween.
Yeah. It was Halloween. It was a pretty good combo. I like that. And I was dressed as Austin Powers that Halloween. So it was as 90s as you could get, I guess.
Amazing.
What were you doing on Halloween '99?
Ah, you know what? I think that was one of the years, one of the last years that I actually trick or treated. I went with my younger cousins. I don't remember what I was dressed as. I honestly don't remember. I feel like I was like a witch or like maybe the just like Ghostface from Scream.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
Tyler.
yeah, I started to get lazy. And yeah, I mostly just I went out with my cousins in Brampton. Shout out to B Town. And yeah, it was I think it was a good one. And I actually remember I think we watched The Simpsons too, because my younger cousins, we were all into it. Everyone was into it. Um and it was classic. Trios of Horror was a staple by that point. Like you said, it's the 11th season of The Simpsons, but the 10th Trios of Horror, and they actually in the beginning segment they like announced that they recognize that they're like, this is the 10th episode, like Treehouse of Horror special. Like they acknowledge that it's already been a decade of it. So it's great to see too now after like 36 years now. It's on like season 36, like how it's evolved and how they are continuing with the tradition. Because yeah, I mean, Halloween has changed, but it's still watching it brings up memories like of your first episode, watching it up over the year in 1999. Like that was a big year. So
Yeah, it was.
yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That we have this opening with Kang and Kodos, coming out hosting like it's the Oscars, and they're like, "Hey, it's the 10th Real of Four." Um, that's I'm glad they gave it some love and threw some flowers at it and said like, "This is our 10th one," because that's something that I have very few nits to pick when it comes to The Simpsons. I love that show with my heart and soul. But one of the things that kind of annoys me about the show is it never, aside from like Who Shot Mr. Burns, season premieres and season finales are never given any kind of special weight. At least
No.
as far as I can remember. They just like they're so interchangeable. Episode one of a season is as special or important as episode 21. Like they really don't give it any kind of like, oh look guys, it's the season finale. This big thing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish they would do that more, especially because the show is such an institution. So I'm glad that when Treehouse reached this milestone, they gave it the love. They gave it that little like, hey, it's Treehouse, but it's also Treehouse 10. And they also they went all out in the Simpsons book too, because we're on to the third Simpsons guide here, and I thought it was just a cool thing that they did where with the Treehouse of Horror episodes in this book, not only did they make the background black instead of the normal white, just to give it that extra scary oomph, but instead of a 2-page spread, it's a 4-page spread.
Nice.
Like, come on, that's just love. That's what
Amazing.
That is, love.
Yeah, and you know what? I wonder too if a lot of people's first interaction or experience with The Simpsons is the Treehouse of Horror episode. I bet you it is, because I think it's usually one of the first like maybe handful of episodes in most seasons. Like
yeah,
and it's around the time like you're more inside, like October, November. Kids aren't going, well, at least back in the 90s when kids used to go outside and play. They don't really do that as frequently anymore. Like if I see kids outside, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? There's very rarely ever just like children out and about, which cool for their safety and all that, but they don't experience outdoors like we used to. No. Anyway, in my opinion. But yeah, this time of year, like people were going, you kind of hunker down in the winter, especially after daylight savings in Canada. Like we're in the north, it's cold. Going outside, you want to catch a cold, you might die. Scarlet fever or something. People still get that, I learned.
It happened to Casper.
Pretty frequent. Yeah, hey, it happened to a lady who owned a convenience store where I used to live.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, random story. But yeah, no, apparently people still get that. Casper, rip. Great kids movie, by the way. Another 90s classic. Love it. I think I saw it in theater. I was lucky. Had a pretty good childhood for movie wise. I feel like seeing things in the theater like Hocus Pocus and Casper and all that. I keep getting diverted, but yeah.
It's okay. The 90s is like that, just diverts. I'm literally making a bunch of my students right now do these monologues I wrote where it's from the point of view of a like an old like Grandpa Simpson guy in the future talking to kids about the 90s. And like there's one about like pogs and I'm telling these kids because they're not understanding what they're talking about yet. They're like, what's a pog? Who's Carmen Sandiego? And I keep devolving into Grandpa Simpson. I'm like, you guys don't know what you missed. You have no idea what you missed.
I never mind students. There's just like a 20 something, guy at my office. He's great. Like he's a great guy. I keep stopping myself from saying kid because I'm like, I know you were born in like the mid to early 2000s, but still like he was like 20 when you were born, something like that. Wow. Anyway, he great guy. But he gets zero references of The Simpsons whatsoever. Like very, very limited references of anything I want to say like 2013.
Yikes.
It's like, oh. Sometimes I'm just like, get out. He says something I'm like, get out. You're kicked out. Get out of here. Taking your badge. But no, but it's just funny to see like, and again, I don't know if it's maybe just our generation or the previous generation and how they integrated like jokes and culture from like the 50s and 60s into a lot of humor in the 90s, which carried through this, through The Simpsons, like generational humor, I guess you could call it. But it's not the same in a lot of media now. And like, again, unless, maybe you're not watching The Simpsons religiously or you're not, a subscriber to the humor, you might be like missing that. So you're missing a lot of references. You're like, a lot of pop culture is kind of like disappearing because of that. Like people just not caring about previous, trends or, again, things that were popular in the media and in general. They just have no idea about it.
Yeah. And if that continues, like it's kind of like we have lost media. We have TV shows and films that have not been preserved. And it's like those references can become lost media too. Like all of a sudden you'll have just something that slips through the cracks and nobody's left to remember it. It's like Coco. You're in the afterlife until nobody remembers you, and then you end up like Ernesto de la Cruz underneath a giant bell.
Yeah, oh, such a great movie. I was just thinking about that because I watched How to Train Your Dragon and 10 out of 10. I loved it. Obsessed. Anyway, we're talking about The Simpsons.
Tell us the plot, Amanda. Tell us what's going on in one of the most fun stories ever to say out loud. I know what you diddly did.
I know what you diddly. Okay, so yeah, this sketch of the this 10th anniversary special of the Treehouse of Horror. Again, shout out to Kang and Kodos for the beginning segment where it's like a costume contest, and yeah, they're just great. Love that they're always included in most of the Treehouse of Horror episodes in some way, which is awesome. But yeah, the first sketch is I know what you did, but diddly, as Andrew explained, which is obviously a play on the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. I think Kevin Williamson did it, the same guy who made Scream. Like he made both.
Yeah, but his fingerprints are on that somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. And it's just a like poor man's version of Scream. I feel like if you want to, kind of give it that analogy, but yeah.
I just saw it for the first time this year, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I only saw them for the first time, and I was like, if this didn't have Jennifer Love Hewitt to look at for 90 minutes, I would not be impressed.
Yeah, yeah. And it's what's funny is like there's actually a scene in it where like I think an 11-year-old wrote the scene, and it's just her standing, jumping with like her cleavage bouncing and being like, just what are you waiting for? Like, kill me. And it's like everyone's favorite scene. It's like, oh, 11-year-old boy wrote that. Anyway, great film to pay homage to. But it's actually it's good because it's got a really good Simpsons twist on it. It kind of starts with the same, idea. The Simpsons family is driving, and I like how this one starts because it's like them describing how they're recently escaping like another, like Dracula's castle or something, like something supernatural. Yeah. And Marge is driving and it's foggy, and she's like, "Oh, let me pull over because it's foggy," and she hits something. And I think it's actually one of my favorite jokes in the episode. She's like, "Oh, I hope that was a dog." It's like, oh God, because then it would be okay, like legal, right? Or ran over a dog, as opposed to a person, but like worst. Anyway, it ends up being Ned. And yeah, Homer's like double checking that he's dead, poking him with a stick right in the eye, which is another, joke that I really like. It's repeated later in the episode. Yeah, the squat, like squelching. I couldn't get that word out. Squat. There's what squelch. Yeah, it's hilarious anytime it's added. And if you ever watch anything with subtitles, specifically on Netflix, they use that to describe. It's like squelch, wet squelch. Ooh. Yeah, and I'm like, oh God. Yeah, I didn't just. Yeah, lots of subtitle. I'm a subtitle person at times, but anyway, yeah. So they hit Ned, thinking that he's dead. They try to, dispose of the body, very similar to "I Know What You Did Last Summer." Then the family, they're actually Homer tries to make it look like he's died another way. Like, so he tries to dispose of the body in another way. It doesn't work. And yeah, they ended up finding Ned alive. And it turns out he was a werewolf the whole time they thought he was dead. Homer pokes him in the eye again and proves he's undead because, doesn't react to the stick in the eye. The old stick in the eye. He'd test, right? And yeah, so he becomes a werewolf and chases, the family. I love how the Simpsons, like, Homer's a little slow on the uptake, so everyone else is already running away, and Homer's like watching Ned transform into a werewolf, and he's like, "Oh, guys, run!" And they're gone, and he's like, "Oh no!" But yeah, so it's a bit of a mix-up, a horror kind of amalgamation there, because you got like the slasher trope that I Know What You Did Last Summer, but it also has the werewolf storyline, so it's kind of an interesting mix for the first sketch. Yeah.
And that middle part where he's trying to like you said, have him die another way. It's like that's like Weekend at Bernie's on steroids. Like that. Yeah. Though I would watch a whole movie about just somebody trying to move a corpse around and have someone else witness its death demise away, and it just keeps going wrong. Like that's a gold mine. And Homer operating it like a puppet like that. Hi, Ma, diddly.
Yeah, diddly. I love how that's the token. Oh, that's definitely Ned. He said diddly. Diddly of all the words.
And there's a distinct memory here, where my cousins and I, when we were watching this, and we have like our mouths full of pizza, and all three of us at the same time, we almost spit our pizza out. We were laughing so hard of that tracking shot of the whole town suspiciously staring at the Simpson family, ending with Homer just pointing. We lost our mind.
You know what? I actually love from this sketch, and I say it all the time. Because right at the beginning, when Marge is and they're driving in the fog, and Marge is like, "Homer, did you forget to put in the fog lights?" And Homer's eating his like cereal in the car, and he's like, "Yes, I forgot to put the fog lights in." And he like, I love that. And anytime it's foggy, that song pops into my head, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, the fog light." Thanks, Simpson. Like right there.
Oh, wow! Yeah, what a great opener for this Treehouse. And yeah, Homer singing Sugar Crisp, beautiful. Everything about it is just gold. And so after a Halloween commercial break, I wonder what commercials played that night on Halloween 1999. There's probably like don't fall for the horrors of Y2K, buy this AOL disc, or, it's probably stuff like that, like
Yeah.
protect your hand from Y2K.
And something for Mountain Dew of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after those commercials, we got story number 2, Desperately Zeeking Xena. And this story actually has Halloween in it, at least at the beginning. So extra points for that from me. The kids are trick-or-treating, and the school has set up this giant x-ray machine to make sure that everything is kosher with all their trick-or-treats. We got a nice little jab at Millhouse's Lane costume, his radioactive man costume, which has radioactive man on it, which is pretty sure he wouldn't wear. Yeah. Old plastic smock. He'd wear it on Halloween, though.
Yeah. Good. You did a good Millhouse for me.
Thank you. I basically was him growing up, so it made sense. The something goes awry though with the X-ray machine. I guess Nelson messed it up when he was punching his candy into it, and it explodes and covers Bart and Lisa with huge doses of radiation. They get superpowers and they become Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl, and then they only use their powers to annoy, as far as we know, because we don't actually see them fighting too much crime, until the Collector comes along, who is just comic book guy in a giant green spandex suit, and he's been kidnapping celebrities, and Xena's in town, or Lucy Lawless anyways, in town for a Comic-Con. And this, like this whole moment, we'll get to that after the recap here, but that moment really ended up standing the test of time with Xena at this Comic-Con. But she gets kidnapped, and comic book guy is like, "Oh, I'm going to collect you now. You're part of my harem of characters." And he's got like Doctor Who there. He's got all kinds of people.
Yeah.
He puts them in Mylar because, of course, he does. And Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl try to come to the rescue. It doesn't quite go well for them, but luckily Lucy Lawless is also kind of a superhero, so she breaks herself out. They destroy the Collector. They basically kill him.
Lucite?
Yeah, he's not getting out of that Lucite anytime soon. And then they fly off into the sunset together because even though Xena can't fly, Lucy Lawless can. And that's the moral of the story. Yeah. And that's Desperately Zeeking Xena. I think to this day, you go on Twitter or Instagram anywhere and you throw a rock, you will hit some kind of reference to Lucy telling those nerds, like, anytime you see something like that, a wizard did it. Because they're nitpicking everything. I mean, that's basically what Twitter has become, is a place for people like that to say, well, actually, blah, 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 blah. So that became a very timely response to just be like, a wizard did it. Chill.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's amazing. I love that joke at the end where they're flying. Whoa, I didn't know Xena could fly. I told you, I'm not Xena. I'm Lucy Lawless. And they're flying. All right, okay. So good. No, she's great. That it's funny because other than the fact it being the kids' Halloween and they're having their candy X-rayed and a horrible tragic accident. Like, first of all, why would you X-ray a bunch of food you're about to eat? Like, I get you're looking for I don't know, needles or razors or the stupid dad who killed his kid for the insurance money. Like, he ruined Halloween.
That guy did. He ruined everything for all of us.
Yeah.
I hope that insurance money was worth it, jerk.
You enjoyed dying, and I think he got the death penalty. Good for that. Good for him. He's, again, piece of shit. Anyway, but look at all the fun media that's out of it. It is bullshit. But yeah, like, why would you X-ray food that you're about to eat? Like, that seems, I don't know. You have to wear like a lead dress just to X-ray like your elbow. So, I don't know. The X-ray people are always hiding behind like cement walls. I love that.
Every time the dentist is like, okay, I'm going to start it. And you just see her like run behind a wall. I'm like,
yeah, literally run. They die. Like, throwing a grenade out in the room. And you're just like, okay. I've had like 3 X-rays this year. Am I okay? Anyway.
I am glowing. I just thought it was my charm, but apparently not.
Hey, 90s standards, right? Everybody was suffering from secondhand smoke because you can just smoke everywhere, and everyone was drinking and driving and X-ray.
Oh.
I'm sure it was actually like based on something that happened somewhere, like a police station did that, and they probably wanted to highlight how dumb that is. Anyway, Simpsons is great like that. I'll have to, yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
I remember being really happy as a huge Star Wars fan, which I still am, even though it's getting harder to be to be one. But I don't think I had remembered ever hearing the Simpsons reference Star Wars up until this point. And when comic book guy pulls out that saber and he says the whole title of the movie, I just remember being so tickled by that. And my cousins who were with me were also big Star Wars fans, and like we just kind of shared like a chuckle, like they said the name of Star Wars. It wasn't even a joke. They just said the title of the movie, but we were just like so like enthralled and just happy that they did that.
Yeah, they did a shout out to every like, well, not every nerd because some nerds prefer Star Trek, like me. But I do love Star Wars too, but I don't know, I like Star Trek better. Anyway. Yeah, no, I love that they did that. I actually really like there is one Simpsons episode where Marge is like doing crafts and she makes like Darth Vader's mask and she's like, "Look, I'm a Star Wars." Love that. I always say that.
I'm a Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's funny like this sketch, even though like it does reference Halloween, like it's not really, I wouldn't say it's like it's not a scary story. Like they become superheroes. Like I wouldn't classify superheroes in the horror or like Halloween section. Sure, they're costumes, but right. I don't know. It's an interesting choice, but made it works. It's funny.
Yeah, unless it's Ghost Rider, superheroes are in a totally different category. Yeah, this was an outlier for sure in terms of just what they brought to the table. I guess seeing the characters in different models and costumes is a Treehouse staple, and I guess that's probably what they were thinking. Like, what if we put them in these kind of costumes? I'm still shocked that we don't see Bartman as much as we should.
Yeah, El Barto.
Barto.
El Barto. Yeah.
And then Amanda, we have a third story. Tell us about that one.
Life's a glitch and then you die. So this one is good, and this was the very timely and like dated episode of The Simpsons, but it's great that they included it because it was such a historical moment. Everyone was panicking. Everyone had like a Y2K fever, and they really played on the comedic element there of how are people preparing for the year 2000 and how integrated technology is with computers and this digital, like literally a digit. People were worried that a digit change was going to like reset everything and like ruin and things were going to fall, satellites were going to fall out of the sky, and like water systems were going to explode. Like I mean, rational people were like, it's not going to be the case. It's still going to run. Like, it's a calendar. You must get scared of Excel. Like, the computer turns on. What's that sound? Like, like, so yeah, it's funny that they included it, but it's New Year's in the sketch. Midnight strikes, and exactly all the what all the fear mongers worried in this sketch. Again, like planes start falling out of the sky, computers like start exploding, and like technology starts going berserk. ATMs like attack people. Like it's basically like robo apocalypse as soon as it hits midnight of the year 2000. So I think it's funny that they escalated it to that level.
Yeah.
And it really, the world descends into chaos. The government has important people, like they get invitations to like a space colony, I guess, and the Simpsons find Krusty, his pacemaker, goes into, I love this joke, hummingbird mode. So he's like looking for sugar water, like I mean, and unfortunately, he passes away in front of his number one fan, Bart, but they find his ticket And they think, okay, we're headed on a rocket to Mars, which is kind of funny given, recent billionaire space explorations.
Oh,
Anyway, so they think they're going on this evacuation, as important people, and then they realize the other passengers, like who they are. And I love the selections. Like I'm sure that Tom Arnold, like one of the people is Tom Arnold. He brought. I think it is his voice. He probably thought it was hilarious. Like, yeah, include me. I'll do my voice. But the other is like, oh, it's Rosie O'Donnell. Like, and it's like mocking like these D-list celebrities. Um, but yeah, it's great. They realize they're actually approaching the sun and not going to this, colony, to live a life after the end of the world. But yeah, I love the doomed headline and like all of the newspapers and stuff for the prior to you know the world ending and everything happening.
yeah.
Like everyone knew, everyone was so aware. But yeah, it's funny if you were around at that time and like it was a real panic. So it's funny, but yeah, it was a big panic, and yeah, looking back, it's great that they were able to make such a relevant parody because I feel like there's similar worries like people have all the time over like there's a number of things like solar flares, like anything could happen. Like space is a mystery. Like we're a rock floating in a Milky Way galaxy. Like most people can't wrap their head around that. Like so, yeah, it's pretty it's pretty funny.
The Y2K fear was this whole vibe. It was everywhere. There was, you turn on the news and they would have experts coming on the news to talk about how you should prepare for Y2K. Like if you weren't around at that time, you can't understand the level of fear that sprouted from such an absolutely ridiculous thing. Like you said, it's a calendar. It's a calendar at the end of the day. And then it was coupled with, I remember a lot of super religious people getting in the mindset of like, oh, this is it. This is the apocalypse. It's the new millennium and God has given us 2,000 years and that's it. And that's all going to fall apart. So there was so much just doomsaying, just permeating the culture. People were scared for I mean, if they only knew, how things would end up in 25 years, maybe they were right to be a little bit scared, but like they were so scared of the strangest little things. And it was literally to them, it was the tick of 99 to 00. And something about that was so frightening.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, The Simpsons made fun of it as people should. I really wanted. Did you watch the movie that came out last year, the Y2K movie?
Where all the technology goes crazy. Yeah, I did. It wasn't bad. I didn't mind it.
I wanted to watch it, but I never got around to it. But it looked funny.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of like it's like a Y2K party, and it's basically what happens in this episode of The Simpsons. Like, but technology just all goes. It just starts attacking people. It's like that inanimate objects are against us, like resistentialism, like idea. Or like just turn and they're like, attack the humans. Like all technology. Yeah, it was good. I thought it was well done. Better than that movie Cellular, where it's like ghosts were using cellular networks. I couldn't get that word out.
There's a movie where ghosts use cellular networks
to like come back to who is it? It was so bad my brain like tried to erase it. It has the chick from Veronica Mars in it. Kristen Bell.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a treat.
Yeah, it really wasn't. And I think it's like she's commented on how dumb the movie was, but she's like, hey, I got paid.
Yeah.
It was a paycheck. Money. Yeah, money. Yeah.
She did her job. She was a pro. And then she was like, okay, next project. Wow. Yeah. No, I have to see that Y2K movie at some point. But I love that The Simpsons made fun of it, and I love that they made fun of these C-list celebrities. Pauly Shore being on that Sunbound shuttle, absolutely. um, and I love that Lisa was also scheduled to be the proofreader of the good ship.
Where's Lisa? Yeah, they're waiting for her.
Uh,
God.
um, that that ending, or rather that last sketch was unexpected. Like you would not expect a New Year's like technology apocalypse movie kind of thing in a Treehouse of Horror, but once you see it, like on paper, it might be like, this is an odd one. This sounds like a Futurama episode, but once you see it, it fits, and it fits right for the Treehouse theme. And of course, in true Simpsons fashion, it's great that they decided Homer is the one who makes it as bad as it is by not doing his job. And I wish I wrote it down because I remember they did a great gag where they're showing the montage of everything falling apart, and there was a place, like a building of some kind, that caught fire, and the joke is like this place should not be catching, like, do you remember what it is? Like it caught fire, it exploded, but it's like it's not anything that should catch fire or explode.
It's like when Homer makes the cereal and it catches fire. Yeah. Oh shoot, I don't remember.
What was it? It was like a bookstore or something. Like, but whatever it was, like that gag was brilliant. It was pure Simpsons. It was probably the most pure Simpsons joke in this whole episode, and that's saying something.
It's escaping me now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna have to. I feel like I've watched this episode specifically a lot. Like I've seen it a lot, and I feel like they re-aired it a lot because of the Y2K portion of this, like of the episode, like the sketch. And I feel like it's the least Halloween like scary of all the trios of horrors that they've had.
That's true.
It's like it was the most lighthearted of them all.
Uh-huh.
Even with the opening, like it was like, oh, hey, it's like a costume contest. And hanging photos were the least threatening. It's kind of like the most lighthearted, even though they were kind of, it was heavy, like Y2K, like the parody, like over the bureaucratic oversight of just, again, a couple of digits. J2.
I wonder how much of that was reactionary to the culture, because like with Simpsons, like we always have to remember, yes, they are timely, but they're always making these episodes and telling these stories like a year in advance, so it's hard for them to be that timely. But I wonder how much of that was like, guys, the general sort of consensus is everybody's afraid right now, so let's do something a little lighter. I wonder if that entered the conversation at all, or if I'm just reading too much into it.
I bet you it did. I bet you it did. And I feel like they've tried maybe that approach with a lot of things. Just in general, like even like when they asked, like, why would they ever, like, how could they predict to be so prophetic when it came to Trump becoming president? Mm-hmm. And Matt Groening was just like, well, I just thought about the wildest, like the worst person, basically. Like it's basically Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. How Biff becomes president. It's the literal real world equivalent almost of that character in so many ways. Like shortcuts, just his treatment of women, like generally just loves to grabbing them. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, like it's almost like they knew, like we should keep, like, to your point, yeah, maybe we should keep this more lighthearted. And I feel like the creators of The Simpsons were probably on the more like rational, like educated, smart side of like this kind of thinking. Like, no, this isn't going to cause any, like, why are people going crazy? Like, they probably realized how big of fear mongering it was. So they were like, we need to make a joke of this. We need to make it lighthearted. Let's include it in this episode. And I think it just really did fit the theme of the episode. Like, it was all very 90s themed, like slashers, superheroes, technology, collapse, tech. Like it was very 90s centric. So to wrap up not just the 90s, but even like the 10th anniversary in that way for that decade it was kind of clever, a little on the nose, but it's good. And again, like a little more lighthearted because yeah, some of the other sketches have been dark, and more recent ones like that I've seen are super dark. Like, yeah,
that plastic one that they just aired, that one was like disturbing. The Plastic World.
yeah, like whoa, they're really they're really expanding and thinking outside the box. Hey.
But what a great point. Yeah, you're right. It is a real sort of time capsule of the 90s, this whole episode. And even that shuttle to the sun, like,
Yeah.
was that a real shuttle? Because I haven't heard from Pauly Shore or Rosie O'Donnell since. Like, what happened to that?
I think Pauly Shore had a movie recently. He was trying to petition to be like Richard Simmons in a movie, and Richard Simmons was like, "No, you'll never do it." And I don't know, is he still alive? We'll never know.
That's some pitch perfect casting, though. I like that.
Right? He's got the hair. He's got the scowl. I feel like he could pull it off. And yeah, Rosie, she took a shuttle to Ireland, and last I heard, like Conor McGregor has been like threatening her, like, get out of my country, like you big potato, basically. Like, we don't want you here. Like, no. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it's her time to try the sun because
Conor McGregor has beef with Betty Rubble. I did not see that coming.
That dude's crazy, but I mean, I see his point. His point, yeah, Betty Rubble, classic 90s, yeah, 90s movie version of the Flintstones. That still slaps though. Halle Berry was pretty good in it.
That whole movie was amazing. Every set that they built, like,
yeah,
what a treat that was. Don't even get me started. I don't think it exists on Blu-ray because I've been wanting to buy it. Same with the Beverly Hillbillies movie.
Oh my god,
just to get that movie.
I love the Beverly Hillbillies movie. Diedrich Badger is the like funniest dude ever. I love it. Watch your head, Granny, and like knocks this old woman off a chair they got strapped to the top of a car. She's tied to like a rocking chair.
Uncle Jed, there's a whole other house up here.
Up here, yeah. Like the fancy eating. Like, obviously, the original Beverly Hillbillies was great. Like, the original show. It was black and white, but yeah, the remake was so good. And I love Jim Varney. Like, rip Jim Varney. That movie was so well done. Yeah, if anyone listening to this hasn't seen it or hasn't seen that movie in a while, this is your nod to go and watch it. I'll find it on a streaming platform if I can.
I think Disney Plus has it, but it's just like, for some reason or another, it does not exist on home media, stuff like VHS, which baffles me.
It drives me nuts. I have like 2 huge DVD binders. I'm just Blu-rays and DVDs and like seasons of stuff. Cause like I can't justify all these boxes. Like I worked at Best Buy. I used to live around the corner from Rogers Video, which was kind of like Blockbuster. And I was a huge subscriber to previously viewed. So I would always just buy previously viewed movies. It was like buying a new movie, but it was like a rented movie. So you got it at like a discounted price. So I had every movie because I would just go and buy them.
Nice.
Yeah, it was the best. But yeah, back in the day, every VHS used to have a room dedicated because it was literally a library. They were big, like books.
Yeah.
Like massive. Like DVDs got better, but even still, like I have, 2 huge like binders just full of movies and seasons of shows. And it's funny, for Halloween, like I put like something on Amazon. I think it was like The Craft. And I was watching it and I'm like, they cut this movie for time. Like they cut this movie down.
That sucks.
There were parts missing. And I was like, they've edited this heavily. And I was thinking about how like the lack of physical copies and like people not like recording the news and recording things, like how much people like streaming services, like people who own the digital copies will potentially down the road like change things and tweak them. Like they already are. And it's like, why would you do that to this movie? Who cares if it has an extra like 10 minutes? I don't care. It's a movie about it's a fictional story about a group of teenage witches. Like like I'm already wasting time watching this. Like what's another 5 to 10 minutes? Like why did you edit it so hard?
Right. And then you're at the mercy of just like nonsensical censorship too. Like I saw for the first time in my life, like last year or 2 years ago, I saw the movie Adventures in Babysitting. And it was great. I loved it. And it was on Disney Plus. It's a Disney movie. But there's a scene on a train where these punks go up to the babysitter girl and they call her a bitch.
Yeah.
And they redubbed over it so that they call her a witch.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that scene is like she gets pissed off at them and she stands up and she's like, I'm not taking that from you. And like this whole altercation happens. But it loses all of that steam if they're calling her a witch. Like it completely deflates the whole purpose of that scene. And just like I was watching it for the first time. It's not like I knew the scene was coming. So when it's happening, I'm like, I hear them call her a witch and I'm like, okay, it's a kid's movie, whatever. And then I see the rest of the scene unfold where they're like, dude, this is a big deal. Are you going to take that? He shouldn't have said that to you. That's not a nice word. And I'm like, oh, this has been tampered with.
Yeah.
And that's like, as somebody who's never seen it, it looks bad. I can only imagine somebody who loves the movie where that's like one of their childhood movies and it's just been, so.
Yeah, imagine down the road, like Disney edits it and it's like, instead of, oh, she's such a witch, it's like, she's such a Canadian. Like, oh, like, doesn't that really escalate the use of the word witch instead of de-escalating the word, you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid. Children use the word witch. Now they're gonna think if someone says that, oh no, you're gonna get stabbed on the train. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, no. We shouldn't be messing with language that like that. I'm a big 1984 is like one of my favorite books, and when you reduce meaning and people's vocabulary, things like that, it's not good. There should be an understanding that, yeah, certain things maybe don't say them out of propriety. Maybe in given situations, certain words, yeah, never use them. But they exist for a reason. You should know what they are. I'm just to understand the context and the idea behind it is enough. Right? Yeah. Like you don't necessarily have to use it, but you lose that. And it's so stupid. I don't know. I get it, Disney. You're trying to be PG, but like there is a light and a dark. There's good and bad. And if you're conflating the good with the bad, that like again, witch and bitch, they're two very different things. Like, oh, but I love the movie The Good Witch. You know, little girls are gonna think it's bad. Like witches are like, right?
Yeah. What about just like totally like normal, good, decent people who happen to be Wicca? Now they're gonna watch that movie and be like, oh, so that's what you think of us, eh, Disney?
Yeah. Discriminatory. Yeah. Discriminatory.
They're digging their own hole deeper. Yeah. They really are. That's why buy physical media, kids.
That's
good enough.
For sure.
Have a binder like Amanda. Just fill it up with Roger's video stuff.
Yeah. I still have my Blockbuster card. I saved it. But they just closed, and I had a few DVD like Blu-rays that I had rented. I still have them. Kept them.
Rebel.
Rebel. They're gonna come after me. Yeah, they're bankruptcy proceedings. They're gonna find me, come after me for the Hitman Blu-ray. Yeah,
they were like, as long as we can get 2 more Blu-rays back, we'll have enough to cover our rent for 1 more year. And then you were just like, no, I'm gonna keep Hitman, and then. As it's Amanda's fault that Blockbuster went out of business. That's what I'm trying to
I took them out. It's me. Late fees. Sorry.
So, what was your favorite line or moment from the episode?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I really like the first sketch and the joke where Homer is singing what singing to the Sugar Crisp song. I think that's my favorite part. Like talking about the fog lights.
The fog lights.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I can't go a foggy day without thinking about that. So it's definitely the winner for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it sticks for sure. I feel the same way on foggy days. I was not expecting so many good quotes this deep into the Treehouse compendium, but here we are, and there's a lot of good ones. I really laughed a lot at Reverend Lovejoy saying that I told you the Lord wouldn't stand for your mini dresses and your beetle boots, and Flanders is like, "Oh, I resisted these for 35 years. Why not wear them today?" Yeah, that that was a really good moment. Um, but I think the one I went for, and it's not even a funny joke on paper. It's a joke you can see coming a mile away, but it's the acting that Yardley Smith does when the guard tells her, you're going to have to make a difficult decision. You can only pick one parent. Mom,
Right away. Immediately off. Yeah.
the look on her face and the way she delivers the line, like there's no question in her mind. And that got me. I was like, yep, this is it. This is the one.
Lack of hesitation, just immediately. Mom. Like, Mom. Couldn't get it out quick enough. Yeah. I feel like most children would say that. Yeah. Especially girls. But yeah, it's funny. Young girls, yeah, for sure. It's so funny.
Oh, okay. Let's rank these stories. Okay. Would you like to go first with your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is Desperately Seeking Xena.
Me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Again, like, I like it. I thought it was funny. I liked that, it was the kids again. It wasn't like they seem to always have one sketch that's like Bart and Lisa or Bart and the school kids. Like, and I think that's good to do because again, Halloween, it's for kids, right? Some of the better stories are involving children because things are scarier when it's the children are at stake or women are at stake. That's why it's always the final girl or like, yeah, anyway. You get it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was really, again, sure, it's on Halloween. They're in costumes. That's fair. But superheroes aren't like, they're not scary. It's not like horror treat. Like having an accident with an x-ray machine. Yeah, that could be horrific for sure. But if the result is being a superhero, yeah, I get it. They dealt with a villain in the sketch, but I don't know. Or wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, there's just something underwhelming about that story in a Treehouse episode. I used to get Simpsons comics a lot. I used to dig into those when I was in like high school. And they would do a lot of, because they were comics, they would do a lot of like superhero themed stories or comic themed stories. And I feel like this would have rocked in one of those because they did that a lot. They'd just be like, here's a random story where Otto fights vampires in his bus, and he's like a rock and roll vampire fighter, whatever. And it suits the comic format. They'll have Homer as Wolverine for one thing. Like it just they kind of found their niche where it's not just Simpsons, it's Simpsons comics, and they're doing kind of their own thing. So this would have, I think, had a better home there. But yeah, in a Trios episode, it's a very quick story. It doesn't have a whole lot of laughs. It's just kind of underwhelming overall. If it wasn't for that final moment of like Xena saying, "I'm not Xena, I'm Lucy Lawless," yeah, I can't really think of too many laughs in there that are super memorable. Like even the part that I took delight in, the Star Wars thing, wasn't a joke. It was just him saying the full title of the Phantom Menace. Yeah. So there's just something not quite Treehouse appropriate for that one. It was doing what it did well, but I think it went to the wrong costume party.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Is our number 2 choice the same? I wonder.
I have a feeling it is.
I wonder. All right, well, okay, my number two. Life's a glitch, then you die.
Yay!
We did it again.
Synchronized. That's what, our third time? Oh, we're so good at this.
Nice.
So good.
Okay, on the same page. Yeah, I think not to say that it isn't a good sketch. I think this could have just been a separate Simpsons like standalone episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't need to be. It didn't need to necessarily be a Treehouse of Horror. Like the idea behind it is kind of scary. Like it's like apocalyptic, but they were making light of it, and it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't classify the story again to be like Halloween like themed. And it happens on New Year's, which okay, yeah, it's fair. There are like horror themed stuff that isn't Halloween or isn't like there's Christmas themed horror movies, right? But I don't know. I just don't think similar to the Xena episode, the Xena sketch. It wasn't like I don't know, Treehouse of Horror. It's I don't know. I didn't think it was scary. But no.
Yeah, it was dark for sure, but it wasn't that type. It wasn't a horror story. It was just a dark. I mean, that final shot of their heads exploding, that's disturbing. And the fact that they exit frame just before you see anything too grisly, it's definitely on the darker side, and it's definitely a story that fits well outside of the canon so that they can have all these deaths and have the world blow up and stuff. But yeah, you could take that same concept minus the like the final apocalypse and like you said, really just make a full Simpsons episode about it, making fun of the hysteria and the ridiculousness that Y2K was, and just showing the various denizens of Springfield dealing with it. Like I'm sure Apu would be having a Y2K sale where he's like, "Oh, don't worry, everybody. I took all the microchips out of the squishy machine, whatever." You could see like Krusty doing some kind of Y2K special where it goes horribly wrong. Like there's a lot of stuff that's happened there for a normal episode. And I think it makes up for that with just having like a lot of great jokes. Like there's funny stuff in here. It is very, very funny. So they told a good story, not necessarily a great Halloween story, but I think they did a good job. And it's so nice that it was still to this day probably one of the most timely things they've ever done at the time that it aired.
Yeah, no, so you made a very valid point. Like outside of the Who Shot Mr. Burns, there aren't a lot of really dated themed episodes of The Simpsons, really. Like there's a couple, like the other Trios of Horror where it had the election. So it was like the Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. Like that was super time. That was super dated. But that was again like a pretty big moment. And yeah, I know they've probably steered a little bit away from that and like outside of the Trump thing, which they probably again they were like, what could be the most ridiculous person? Like who could and they hit the target, like unknowingly, like they just did it. And it kind of just goes to show like if humanity can be pretty bad when it comes to making decisions and if we can easily like see it coming too, like through decision making, through change in language and how people perceive things and how we're editing things and how we're shortening things. And I was reading somewhere it was like I don't remember the actor now, even my memory like attention span is going, but they were talking about how nowadays when movie studios and like um like networks are creating shows and TV shows and like movies and series on like web shorts, they do a lot of like episodes on their like platforms, like their websites, like they'll have mini episodes of stuff or they'll have like content that's specific to them, or only on their website. All of it is now being geared so that people can pay attention and watch it without looking at the TV. They can partake while looking at their phone.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. Oh.
So there's always a character that's giving like constant exposition and explaining things over and over again, and they're reminding people of everything, and it's making just being in actors or watching things like if you actually sit down, put your phone down, and you watch something, you're just getting annoyed because nothing's really happening. They're just regurgitating the same thing over and over again, and then it's the end. It's like, okay, what happened? What?
As a writer, I can't stress enough how much that terrifies me.
Yeah, they're trying to keep it simple so people can follow along while not paying attention. Like, I thought that's what reality TV was for.
Right. Like, put on Love Island if you don't want to pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh boy. Well, at least our number one was I Know What You Did, Liam, that we did. At least that's the saving grace tonight.
We knew that it was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was coming. Yeah. The best one. A very memorable sketch, probably one of my top Treehouse of Horror sketches. I love it. Top 10, probably. Classic.
Mm-hmm. What a great sketch. You've got, like you said, you got slasher, you got a werewolf at the end, you got Weekend at Bernie's happening there.
Yeah.
That great shot of Homer just pointing. It's gold. It's late in the Treehouse game, at least, well, maybe not relatively speaking anymore, but for episode 10, they're still cranking out gold in the Treehouses, which makes me very happy.
Yeah, that definitely was a classic sketch. Probably, I feel like it's a lot of people's within. I know there's so many episodes now and seasons of The Simpsons, and like 35 Treehouse of Horror episodes now. But this one is probably a favorite. Like, again, it's like a mid-90s heyday season, like within the first 12 seasons of The Simpsons still. And yeah, it's just classic, referencing again like 90s slashers, but their twist on it works, even though it's still funny, but the horror elements are there, and it fits for Halloween, it fits for Treehouse of Horror, so it's number one. It just works, and it has that jingle that Homer fog light, very important.
Hey, and we're in November. We're going to be getting some fog sooner or later. So I know when I wake up and I look out the window and there's a foggy day, we're going to be thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, right away. Yep.
Oh, all right. I got an interesting book recommendation for today.
Oh, I'm excited.
I inspired by Desperately Seeking Xena, because it is so comic book heavy. I went with something. I was never a huge comic book reader because it required a lot of dedication and a lot of money. Like, you had to buy those things every week, and the stories were very gargantuan. They were soap operas. They're soap operas. It's hard to jump in. And I just kind of always had a love-hate relationship with them for that. But I've always loved the idea of them. So instead of buying the comic books, I ended up being a person who got really into Wizard magazine. And I don't know if you've ever read Wizard magazine and their sister magazine, Toy Fair, which I have here, the Simpsons movie issue of Toy Fair. It was a very fun magazine that it covered comics and like entertainment, pop culture stuff. And at the time that I started reading them, it was just as like the Marvel Cinematic Universe was going to start. So, I think the first issue I bought was like saying, hey guys, in a year, there's going to be an Iron Man movie. So it was leading up to that, and it became more and more movie focused. And I know a lot of like super comic book people didn't like that because they were like, this was a comic, a magazine about comics. Like, what are you doing? But I always found them fun, and like they always did these great things. Like, look, Toy Fair ranked the Simpsons characters, but they ranked them with Simpsons toys. Just what a great little touch to put on that. And I was so into Wizard that I actually, and this is super dorky, but I have this issue here, issue 191, which publishes a letter that I wrote to them.
What?
Yeah. I emailed them a letter because the guy who like takes fan mail was like a super cool dude and he was really entertaining. So I emailed them and I was just asking them about like weird shit. I think I was like, "Oh, did you hear that the guy from Lost might play Gambit one day and whatever?" And like they just answered my letter and it was crazy. So that's the only time that's ever happened to me where a publication has answered a letter or anything like anything where podcasts whatever where they're like fans ask us a question and we'll answer. This is the only time I have ever had that answered. So
That's awesome. And it was about Gambit. Ah, that's great.
yeah, it was literally like, do you think Josh Holloway is going to play Gambit? And they were like, oh, you might. Yeah, it was pretty nerdy, but I those were fun magazines, and of course, like all magazines, they have stopped; they don't exist anymore. But they were cool. Like, look, this issue does the 100 greatest villains of all time. Like, come on, how cool is that? I disagree with their answer because they put Joker as number one when it should be Emperor Palpatine. Whatever, to each their own.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. Good answer. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that's a good question actually. Like a list to look at. I'd be interested to Google that just to see like and maybe a more updated version that maybe someone has made. Yeah. But yeah, Palpatine is a good answer.
Mr. Burns made the list. He's number 45.
Nice.
There he is right there.
Nice. Amazing. No, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like stuff like that and like reference like I love comics, but yeah, it is an expensive like hobby. It's a hobby. It's not like just picking up any book and reading it. You have to in order to stay in line with like literally the collection that you're reading because depending like for example, like the last book that I recommended was a Batman graphic novel, but there's been so many iterations and artists and writers that have done the story. Like there's been more than one, right? Like so it's neat to see the different takes like on, any given Marvel DC, like I like Vertigo. There's another series of comics that's pretty good, like it's called Fables. Have you heard of it?
I've always wanted to read Bill Willingham, right? He wrote that.
Yeah, they're really good. There's another one too. It's called Unwritten. It's about like a writer who's like the stories that he writes starts to come to life, sort of. I've only read a few of those ones, but I kind of fell out of graphic novels a couple years ago. But yeah, I kind of went into a nonfiction phase. So I have a lot of nonfiction, but I've started getting back into fiction. And yeah, but it is to your point. Yeah, it's like a hobby. It's expensive and it's hard to keep track. But it's interesting now, and it's I shouldn't say interesting, but it's different now because they are making so many more of the like comic book stories into movies, and they're combining a lot of stories together and kind of changing them, and it makes fans angry. Like to your point, like Lucy Lawless, it was Wizards like on Twitter, like be quiet, like who cares that much? Like I get it, you're a diehard fan, but like, is it the end of the world? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it probably does. It is satisfying when you do see something translated very well, especially from book form onto the screen, but whatever. Everything is perception and interpretation. Maybe they'll be redone again in like 5 years. Like most things are just being redone and redone and redone. And you'll get to see a version you like. Like, get out already. Yeah.
But like comics are so like their history is so Byzantine that if they had made Infinity War and tried to be 100% faithful, people would have been like, what the hell am I watching? So there are like, I get it. You love the material. It's near dear to your heart. I totally understand. But like, you got to take some liberties. And first of all, just from making a movie in general, but also just to fit their narrative. And comic fans, I think if anybody should understand this concept, it would be comic fans, that you can just look at it as a multiverse thing. This is not that exact Iron Man. This is a different Iron Man. So that's why it's a different Infinity War movie. But yeah, people get really hung up on those.
Yeah, no, great point. It's the one universe where like, yeah, multiverse Multiverse. Multiverse Wizards.
Multiverse Wizards.
Multiverse Wizards. There you go. That's the answer. Like, let it go. Let it go.
Until they adapt a comic that's actually called Multiverse Wizards, and all those nerds are like, actually, no, you can't.
And no, you can't do that because the Time Blade. Like, what? Get the fuck out.
I think we just created a new IP.
There you go.
Uh,
Multiverse Wizards.
uh,
Like a D&D game, too.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The Warriors of the Time Blade.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna write
totally down. Yeah, let's do it. A collaboration.
Yeah. What's your book recommendation for today?
My book recommendation today is, it's actually, because I've been doing random, I decided to go random again. It's called, maybe you've read it, I don't know. It's not necessarily horror, but it's super cool, and it's called The Master and the Margarita. Have you ever read it?
Oh, that's a great title.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's super interesting what it's about. So it's set in like 30s Moscow. And the book starts where it's basically like the devil coming to Moscow to just F shit up. And he's coming under the guise of like being a professor, but he's also acting as like a magician. I don't know. You have to read the book. It's really good. But the story, it's basically him uncovering kind of like corruption and like just fucking with people in Moscow. And he has like there's a cat because he has his like basically this large talking like black cat. His name is Behemoth. And he has like a demon buddy that he has with him. And it's basically he uses like magic to like expose like greed and corruption throughout the city. And it's really good because it's all witnessed by a guy who's basically like witnessing it and no one believes him. Like, what's happening? But it's all juxtaposed with a writer who's writing the story of like Pontius Pilate and Jesus. And like, yeah, it's a very interesting book. It's really good. I would recommend it. It's not like any book I'd say I'd ever read, and how it kind of all correlates is super interesting. But it's really all about like the theme that like obviously good and evil, but like the devil in this case helps to expose hypocrisy. So it's kind of like sort of a different play on like where you might assume like a good character would do that. It's like, oh, it's a more mischievous play on it. That like love can sort of go beyond death, and like truth and art will always prevail. So it's an interesting read. It might be a little bit fatiguing because it's like Russian literature. But like it's really good, and it's unique, and it was on a lot of random book lists. That's kind of where I found it. I was like looking for something different, and I looked up a book this was on like a few very famous people's book lists, and that's where I saw it. And I was like, okay, it was on like Johnny Depp, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, the woman who wrote Fleabag and Killing Eve, and like the new like Bond movie, I think. Like it was on a bunch of people's book lists, more people I can't remember now. But it's very unique, and especially if you're like, I went to Catholic school. I know you did too. Like I grew up, again, multicultural, but you know, I know a lot about religion and a lot about Catholicism. It's an interesting two stories to parallel and like kind of be together in the same book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds rad. And who wrote that?
His name is Mikhail Bulgakov. Bulgakov. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm probably butchering that. It's Russian. Bulgakov. Yeah.
Bulgakov. Does Rasputin show up in the book, or is this after his time?
No, he isn't in it. I don't recall.
Or maybe it's a spoiler and you just thought.
I think they mention him, like he's mentioned at some point. just in passing, and like they talk about like other like Dostoevsky is mentioned because the guy is a poet, so he's talking about like other writers, and it's in Moscow, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do, but not in great detail. I don't believe that I remember. Yeah, it's a cool book.
Oh, the Manager and the Margarita.
Yeah, the Margarita. Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's like two stories intertwined, and they kind of come together. Yeah, it's good.
I like this. All right. Beautiful. Wow, we made it to 10 episodes. Amanda, we're halfway through our show.
Halfway there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Uh-huh. All right. So next time on number 11, we're going to be diving into like seasons of The Simpsons that are less familiar to people because they're just ones that are not as heavily rewatched, even though I'll mention this in more detail next episode. But the next Treehouse, for whatever reason, I remember seeing more than almost any other Treehouse, which is odd. And I don't know how that happened, but we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, everybody, that has been Tales from the Treehouse. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with us. Thank you for putting down with us as we insulted all those crazy people who were into Y2K fear mongering and panic. Go read The Master and the Margarita. Go pick up issues of Wizard magazine if you can find them, especially issue 191, because that's kind of a special one. And until next time, don't blame us.
We voted for Kodos.